Author of several books, journalist, and he has become very insightful concerning information of this shameful socialistic continuing bailouts. He will be joining us shortly. People, do you understand Bloomberg and Forbes is reporting these bailouts are now close to totaling $8 trillion? Again, we are witness to the complete intentional collapse of our economy and the fleecing of not only you, but your children and their children. Look at the automakers. The total worth of the big three is less than $11 billion, but they are asking for loans and guarantees up to $34 billion. It is utterly insane. It defies logic. The people of America are being sold a bill of goods. First it was the subprime mortgages. Now it is the automakers. The banks are holding the billions gave to them and having a good laugh at the stupidity of the American people to accept this bold-faced robbery of their 401ks, their devaluing of their homes, their devaluing of their life savings, their unbacked fiat paper money, the massive losses in the stock market. And now, lo and behold, as if by happenstance, first it was 2,000 troops coming home to be deployed in America, and then this past Sunday, the Washington Post reports now it's 20,000 troops coming home to be deployed in America, and they admit in case of civil unrest. They say in case of economic turmoil. Our congressmen and women openly admitted they were threatened with martial law immediately if the ridiculous socialistic bailout wasn't passed, giving untold billions to the very criminals that have orchestrated this meltdown. Paulson was the one that gave them that warning. And he is the traitor that got the money. We already see Obama's backing away from all those glorious promises before he even takes the oath of office. Change. He has changed his coming administration into Clinton Administration Act 2. The troops will stay in Iraq. The unconstitutional wars will continue and expand. And sadly, we the people are being reduced to a third world living standard, and darn few stand up and tell it like it is. Our media is corrupt. Our government is corrupt. Our banking system is corrupt. And our society is in rapid decline. The time is now for the people to band together, to stand together for freedom, for liberty, or the republic that our ancestors fought for is going to become but a memory as they use this intentional collapse to move us into a new financial order, a broad step in globalism, and the destruction of our national sovereignty. Brian, would you like to comment on any of that? And then we're going to give the people an update on our toy drive before we go to our guests.
This $8+ trillion bailout that we've seen now, altogether $8+ trillion translate into a monetary base increase of over 75% in the last 2 months alone.
Unbelievable. And in the hearings this past week, they asked the auto workers, the chairmen of the auto workers, if this would be enough or would they be back and need more money, and they admitted they would. They would be back and need more money. This is a band-aid. It's a move towards socialism and capitalism. You're supposed to be able to fail. The government cannot stimulate us and bail us out of this. What now they've admitted to, so reluctantly, they've admitted that the recession started last December. Anyone in business or holds on to any money knows that this didn't just start 2 months ago, but now they've admitted that it started last December. It's just unbelievable that our government has failed us so utterly miserably.
And even if we do bail out the automakers, who's going to have money to buy a new car?
Yeah, and what are we doing? The hardworking people that don't have health care and don't have retirement is being forced to bail out the United Auto Workers so that they can keep their sweet retirement deals and their great health care benefits. It's socialism by definition, and it's everything that our country was founded against. We're not supposed to be a socialistic economy, and they are moving in broad steps. I mean, we've talked about it before. Did you think this would actually happen as fast as it's come together? Because we're moving rapidly now.
Absolutely not. I mean, I saw it coming, but nothing like this. And obviously, this brings up the question: what's next? I mean, if they've gone this far right now, I mean, anything is possible next.
I mean, we've already had the threat of martial law in the streets by the very elite criminals that was the recipient of the money. Unbelievable. The press, some of the press covers this fairly well, but for the most part, the American people get a sugar-coated version of the truth. it's just amazing. And our guest today, Paul Craig Roberts, is going to really shine some light on this subject. And before we go to that break, as many of you know, we've had a toy drive for the Feel Good Foundation. Toy drives went probably a little less than we expected. We've had a lot of people that's donated. We've had Amy and some on the East Coast. We Are Change NC that's helped out. Bring us up to date with what's going on and how much time we got left before we ship them.
Yes, we've received several boxes of toys, not quite as many as we had hoped, but again, the economy is horrible at this point. I'm sure that has something to do with it. But we're hoping to mail everything out by this coming Tuesday. We would also like to thank one of our listeners, Dave, for helping us with the shipping and boxing all those up. We certainly appreciate his efforts.
We've had 2 checks donated too, and we want to thank the 2 that made a monetary contribution. You can donate checks also. If you email us, we will make arrangements for you to mail them, or we'll pick them up, whatever we need to do.
Absolutely, and as Charlie Giles told us here on the Real News last week, they have over 400 kids at minimum of 9/11 first responders children that need toys here. Of course, the responders themselves can't afford food and medication, rent, let alone toys.
And we contacted several of the volunteer fire departments, sheriff's departments. So far, toys donated 0. Go ahead and lead us into a break, Brian. We'll get ready for our guest coming up shortly.
We're going to have Paul Craig Roberts on here with us in a few moments. He was the ex-assistant Treasury Secretary under Ronald Reagan. He's extraordinarily bright on this financial collapse. He's also been highly critical of the Bush administration, so we're certainly looking forward to this interview. It's an honor, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Okay, we are joined today by former Assistant Secretary of the Treasury, Paul Craig Roberts, considered the father of Reaganomics, also a journalist, and frequently writes for the American Free Press, Op-Ed News, Counterpunch, contributing editor to the National Review. I wanted to say, Mr. Roberts, it's truly an honor to have you here on the Real News with us today, sir. Are you doing okay today?
Yes, thanks for sharing your audience with me.
Well, sir, I truly enjoy reading your perspective on all the issues. And to begin today, for our listeners, I would just like for you to tell our listeners your opinion on these bailouts, our economic collapse, and what do you think would be the proper thing for our government in the handling of this situation?
Well, the bailouts, you notice how easily, quickly, and rapidly they ran with vast amounts of taxpayer money to bail out the banks, the financial sector, and how they dragged their feet in delivering a relatively small amount of money to the automobile companies. And I think the explanation is that they want to bust the unions. So if they can get rid of, if the automobile companies are forced into bankruptcy, they can walk away from all of their legacy costs, the guaranteed pensions and health care for the retirees. And when they reform, they can do what Japanese companies do and avoid unions. So I think it's a political bias against working people and in favor of rich bankers, and I think that's what the bailout tells you. The other thing I would say about the bailout is the bailout of the financial sector is phony in the sense that it doesn't direct itself to the real problem. The problem is the defaulting mortgages. And so the bailout should be, or the money in the bailout should be used to refinance the mortgages and to pay off the defaulted mortgages, and that then would restore the value of the mortgage-based derivatives on the bank's books and end the problem. But they've done nothing that addresses the actual problem, which is defaulting mortgages. So again, what interpretation you put on this, is this incompetence, or is this sort of an open-end credit line into the Treasury to hand over money to the financial sector, money which is being used